Προσπαθείτε να το βάλετε στο Facebook.
Μάλιστα.
Εντάξει. So welcome to everybody. We're going to continue our class as every Sunday. So then this Sunday is we're going to explain about mindfulness of breathing meditation. We have conducted this class also before, and this is in a visual form how to for you to understand all the details. Actually, this meditation can be taught within 5 to 10 minutes, but because those who are curious to know from where the source comes and how the Buddha himself explained this, this meditation, so we're going to devote about 1 hour to explain all the details, not only about mindfulness of breathing meditation, but also about metta meditation. So then it will take about 1 hour. So then, I will try to give as much detail as possible for you to have a grasp of the whole of all steps which one has to follow. So then, this breathing meditation has been practiced by the Buddha himself before his enlightenment. He used it as a basis for his enlightenment because after he attained a high degree of concentration because of this breathing meditation, so then he started practicing Vipassana meditation, that is insight meditation, and through which he attained what's called Buddhahood. So therefore, he praised this meditation many times. That's why he tells this concentration, samadhi, through mindfulness of breathing, when developed and practiced much, is both peaceful and sublime. It is an unadulterated, blissful abiding, and it banishes and steals evil, unwholesome thoughts as soon as they arise. So therefore now the Buddha calls this a meditation which has to do with concentration. So then focusing the mind on the breath, and this concentration can arouse a very blissful and peaceful consciousness through which one can attain even jhanas, which we are going to explain later. So therefore, this is because our mind is all the time scattered. Concentration is very important to collect this mind in a certain object and to not to allow it to be confused with so many thoughts. Therefore, concentration is very important because our mind, as the Buddha says, is a flickering mind. Therefore, he says this flickering, unsteady mind, difficult to guard, difficult to tame, the wise person strengthens it as a fletcher strengthens an arrow. So therefore, the task of a meditator is to strengthen the mind. So the simile is like a fletcher strengthens an arrow. What the meditator tries to do it is this confused and what's called a scattered mind, and gets it very straight through concentration. So there's a kind of taming the mind, and the Buddha tells a tamed mind brings happiness. So if our mind is completely scattered, confused, what we call happiness, it is a very fleeting thing. But once the mind is very concentrated, very unified, then one can feel this happiness arising within oneself. So usually our mind is a fragmented state. So because it gets bombarded with so much information, and it gets scattered all over. But concentration helps to unify the mind and to bring it to one point. So this is called oneness of the mind, or sometimes called one-pointedness of the mind, which the Buddha calls chittas ekagata. Eka means one, aga means point, chitta means one. This is the, chitta means mind. So therefore now it is here where the Buddha speaks about focusing the mind to one point, bringing one point, and this is called oneness of the mind. So before the Buddha starts to explain the technical things, how to practice focusing the mind, he is going to to talk about the sitting position, because it is very important to know how to sit. And he says sitting down, folding the legs crosswise, setting the body erect. So sometimes I put the Pali text also for those who want to check the Pali. So therefore here it is, setting the body erect is very important. The other part, which is called folding the legs crosswise, it may be difficult for some people, especially for Western people, but I will suggest some other postures, some other position, which can be easy for ordinary people. So what the Buddha suggests here is the full lotus position. This is the position when both heels are on the thighs. If you can see the thighs of the Buddha, it's called the heels of the Buddha or the thighs. So, but there is another position called half lotus position, where only one heel is on the thigh. So there is also another position which is called Burmese position, which both heels are on the ground and little bit far from the body. So all these are acceptable. Main thing is one has to keep the spine erect. So then, and one can sit on a half of cushion for a help and strengthen the back. So you can place your arms and legs comfortably. So you can place either your left or right leg in front. So as it is easy for you. So then this is other ways how to place your arms and palms. And this is also another way. So main thing is now the arms and should be relaxed and comfortable position, because all the attention goes to the breath and the tip of the nose, and the hands are irrelevant. Slowly, slowly, one forgets about the body and all the attention goes to the breath. Therefore now, main thing is one relaxes the hands so that they don't become disturbance, annoyance during meditation. So these are unnecessary hand position, because as I told you, all the attention goes to the breath, not to the body. So then you can, if you like, you can adopt them, but in this meditation have no meaning. So then other ways to sit is on a stool, on a scissor, that means a big cushion, or on a chair. But even so, you can see the spine in all this position is erect. So, and this is not a suitable posture. So now, after the Buddha explains about the postures and so forth, the position of the body, he is going to explain about mindfulness of breathing as serenity meditation, means how to calm the mind by focusing on the breath. So first he is going to explain the place of observing the breath. So in this case, he says, establishing mindfulness at parimukha, which means around or near the face or mouth. Parimukha is a term which the Buddha uses and means pari means around, mukha means face, can be also the mouth. The reason is why he does not say in the nose, on the nose, is because some people, if they have short nose, they can feel the breath on the upper lip. Some those people who have ordinary noses, they can feel it on the tip of the nose. So therefore now he tells around the or near the face or the mouth. What is about around our face is actually the nose. That is from where the breath enters, and we can feel it usually in the nose. But those who have short nose, they can feel it on the upper lip. So this is the Pali text for those who want to check it. And now this explanation about the parimukha, the definition of parimukha, it is further explained in other texts, canonical text, that is, and then it is said, this mindfulness is established, well established at the nose tip or at the mark of the mouth. That means the upper lip. Hence it is said, establishing mindfulness at the parimukha. And therefore, no, parimukha means at the nose of the tip or on the upper lip. So there is another canonical text also which says something similar. So in this way, he sits down by establishing mindfulness at the nose tip or at the mark of the mouth, that is the upper lip. So, and this canonical text says also, he does not give attention to the in-breaths coming inside the body. That means one does not follow his attention inside the body on the pharynx or on the lungs or on the belly, or the out-breaths going outside the body. Means when the breath goes outside the body, one should not follow that. So main thing is one keeps all his attention to the nose tip or on the upper lip, because this small area, in order to attain concentration, if one shifts one attention to the pharynx, to the lungs, to the belly, his concentration his mind gets scattered and his concentration can become strong. So it becomes diffused. So then another thing is that if one follows the inhaling air inside the body as it travels in different bodily parts, one will then be practicing elements meditation in regard to the air element, but not mindfulness of breathing. That is a different meditation to see the elements. It's called the wind element and so forth. Even so, by meditating on the air element only, one doesn't even practice elements meditation fully, because it is required to also meditate on the other three elements, solid, liquid, heat element, and to see their correlation. Therefore, it can't be said that one either practices mindfulness of breathing correctly or elements meditation correctly if one follows the breaths inside the body. Hence, the Buddha advises in the regard to mindfulness of breathing, let your mindfulness of breathing be well established in one's person at parimukha. When mindfulness of breathing is well established in one's person at parimukha, any inclinations for outward and vexing thoughts cease to exist. Here the Buddha uses the verb establish, which indicates the placing and fixing of one's mindfulness at parimukha, implying thus of not moving it hither and thither, or onwards and backwards to any other place. The opposite of establish is disestablish, displace, change, move, remove, etc., which is not the case in Anapanasati Samadhi. That means in this concentration, with a mindfulness of breathing. Therefore, you establish your mindfulness at the tip of your nose, where the air strikes the nostrils, or at the upper lip. Observe the natural flow of your in-breath and out-breath at the nostrils or at the upper lip. So therefore now this is the attention you have to give it at the nose on the upper lip, so you don't follow inside the body. So, and for the out-breath, it is also the same. Do not give attention to the in-breaths going inside the body, so, or to the out-breaths going outside the body. That is regarding the place of observing the breath. So then we don't move our attention to any other places except where the air strikes the nostril. That is the gate from where the air enters and exists from our body. Now the Buddha is going to explain how to tackle our attention, how to make our attention to remain with the breath. So the first step is, the Buddha says, ever mindful on breaths in, ever mindful on breaths out. So for the in breath, one should be mindful to know that I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. And so that is also for the out breath. So this is the Pali text for those who want to check it. And again, the Buddha says, excuse me, now in your case, what you have to do it is, therefore you also ever mindful breathe in and ever mindful breathe out. Do so for about 5 minutes. For the in breath, you mental note in breath. For the out breath, you mental note out breath. So these words are very important to use. For every in breath, you mentally note in breath. For every out breath, you mentally note out breath. So these words play a big role for us to bring the attention to the breath. Otherwise, the mind does not know what to do. If we allow the mind to just watch the breath, after some time, it will go away. But if we use these words, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath, this mental noting, then we train the mind to know what it has to do. So you can do this about 5 minutes. So then, and do not use your attention to pay attention to the breath. So you don't use your eyes. Some people, they try to see something in the breath. There is nothing there to see. It is only the air which enters and exists. So, and therefore the eyes do not play any role. You better close your eyes because there is nothing there to see. So then, and try to pay attention to the sensation at the tip of your nose or to the movement of the air. So then the sensation is very more important because you can feel the breath, but you can't see it. There is nothing, because the breath has no color, has no shape. But once it strikes the nostrils, so you can feel it and try to pay attention to the feeling of the breath or to the movement of the air. When thoughts or feelings distract you, ignore them and come back to the sensation of the breath. Mental note, in breath, out breath. So now the Buddha is going to explain the second step. That means the first step it is in a very gross way. The second step it is more subtle way. So in the Buddha says, when one breathes in long, one understands I breathe in long. So for the long in breath, you have to understand that is long in breath. So again, when one breathes out long, one understands I breathe out long. For the long out breath, one understands it is long out breath. This is the Pali text for those who want to check it. So therefore now, when you breathe in long, understand I breathe in long. For a long breath, you mentally note long in breath. And when you breathe out long, understand I breathe out long. For the long out breath, you mentally note long out breath. So now long means long time duration. So usually if we sit in the beginning, we need some deep breaths to take deep breaths. This naturally. So we don't try to force the breath to make it long or short. We try to feel the breath as it occurs naturally. And usually when we sit down, the breath, it is a little bit deep. So we inhale in a deep way. So then this time duration is long duration, means we inhale and it takes some time till the breath stops, when it enters. And sometimes it takes, when it exceeds, so again it takes some time for it to stop. That is, we have to see the time duration. So, and then when the breath is short, the Buddha says, when one breathes in short, one understands I breathe in short. For the short-term breath, one should understand it. And when one breathes out short, one understands I breathe out short. For the short out breath, similarly, one should understand it. So then, therefore now, when you breathe out in short, understand I breathe in short. it is for short in breath, you mentally note short in breath. When you breathe out short, understand I breathe out short. For the short out breath, you mentally note short out breath. Here, the short means short time duration. Sometimes the breath becomes short in the sense that you just feel it. As soon as the breath enters, you just feel it that it enters. As soon as it exists, you just feel it. Very slight time. It is very slight sensation. You get it so that the breath moves in, moves out. So the difference between short and long is that the short, it lasts very short time. You can feel the breath very shortly touching the nostrils and then it's called disappearing. And then when it exits again, touches the nostril, it disappears. And again, but for long means it takes some time. You can feel it. There is some time duration there. So after the Buddha explains the second step, whether the breath is long or short. So now you can do so maybe for 2-3 minutes just to understand how the state of your breath is. This step is not different from for the first one. It is only that we try to see more details. It is the same breath, but we try to see more details. And we observe only the natural flow of the breath. We try to modify it to make it in a technical, in an artificial way. It is we observe the natural flow of the breath. So now, then the Buddha tries to explain the third step, which is to show more details, to try to detect more details. And here he says, one trains thus, I shall breathe in, experience the whole breath body. It means the whole in breath, and try to experience the whole in breath. So, and then he says, on trains thus, I shall breathe out, experience the whole breath body. For the whole out breath, one should experience the whole out breath. So this is the Pali text for those who want to have it. Now, there is one word here which confuses some people. So then the word is body, which is used here. So if you see the Pali text, it is the word for the Pali text is kaya. Kaya literally means body. But in this context, what does it mean body? This is what confuses many people. And because the Buddha himself has given this definition, I will give the definition the Buddha gave, and we'll see it. The body means here in metaphorical sense. Now we're going to see what means the body here. We'll be surprised. It is not the body with your hands and legs and the head. It is something different. It's actually the breaths. Now we're going to explain the meaning of the whole body and especially what the body means. The definition of kaya, which is the body in this context, is given by the Buddha thus. I say that this is a certain body among the bodies, namely the in-breaths and out-breaths. So here's a Pali text for those who want to check it. Now, here the body is nothing, not our legs and hands. It is actually the in-breaths and out-breaths. So why it is called as body? We're going to explain this now. Therefore, Sabbakaya means in this context the whole bodily process of the in-breaths and out-breaths. And Kaya body is used in a metaphorical sense. So it is a process of the in and out breaths. It is said so because the meditator at this step begins to lose the perception of the physical body and starts to perceive the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk or mass of air. So now, if we see here, while the meditator observes the breath going in and outside the body, if he observes again and again, ultimately what happens, he loses the perception of the physical body, and then only the breath remains in front of him. So this breath becomes the new body, means the collection of air which he feels, the mass or bulk of air, what he can feel. So ultimately, this movement of the breath remains only. The rest of the body becomes not noticeable. So what becomes more noticeable to the meditator, it is the movement of the in and out breath. This is called body in a metaphorical sense. Now, in English also, we use the word body to indicate something, a collection of things. For example, if we take the body of English literature, we mean the whole collection of the English literature. Does not mean any physical body. It is in a metaphorical sense. If we say the body of the diplomats in this country, it means not the physical body of the diplomats, but the whole group of these diplomats. So then if we tell the water body of this country, we mean the collection of all the water of rivers, lakes, and sea of this body, of this country. So therefore, in English also, we have this word body, which means collection, a bulk, sometimes a function of things. So while the meditator meditates like that, he loses the perception of the physical body and perceives the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk and mass of air. So, and now once we have understood what means the body, it means what the meditator has to feel the whole breath, means the whole in breath and the tip of the nose. So therefore, you also try to experience the whole in breath at the tip of your nose. And for the whole in breath, you mentally note whole in breath. Try to experience the whole out breath at the tip of your nose. For the whole out breath, you mentally note whole out breath. So now, in order to see, to understand what means whole, the whole breath body, now we have to understand that if we give attention to the touching point, which is the parimukha or the upper lip, so the whole means we try to see not only part of the breath, but try to see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So that is where the attention is to see the whole process of from the beginning to the end of the breath. Then we can see it as a whole breath. So, and this takes place at the touching point, because when the breath enters touches the nostrils, that is the beginning. When it continues touching the nostrils, that is the middle. When it stops touching the nostrils, that is the end. At the same touching point, we can understand the whole process from the beginning till the end. So I'm going to give you a simile with a violin player. Now, the attention of the violin player is on the touching point where the bow touches the chords. His attention is there because that is from where the sound of the violin comes. So he does not give attention to the bow going up on the tip of the bow, or to the other tip of the bow which goes down. So all his attention is to the touching point, because the other tips of the bow are irrelevant. Similarly, the meditator, if he gives attention to the tip of the nose, and he does not give attention to the breath going inside the body or outside the body. So he gives attention to the touching point and tries to see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. It means to see the whole breath. And the difference between whole and part of the breath, I will going to show this here for you to have a better understanding. What means part of the breath? Now, if a meditator sees only the beginning of the breath, he sees part of that. If he sees only the middle of the breath, he sees only part of it. If he sees the end of the breath, he sees only part of it. If he sees the beginning and middle, or the middle and end, or beginning and end, he sees only part of it. But if he sees the beginning, middle, and end of the breath, then he sees the whole breath. So at the same touching point, so you can also start with the beginning, try to see the beginning and end of the breath. Now the beginning means when the air, when it enters, touches the nostrils, that is the beginning. When it stops touching the nostrils, that is the end. So, and mental note beginning, end. So then if you understand only the beginning, you can see you can understand only part of the breath. If you see only the end, you can see part of the breath. Try to see, therefore, the whole process from the beginning to the end. So then, again, you can start with beginning. There is some disconnection, is there? Okay. And your mental note beginning and end. So then when the breath exceeds, you can feel the breath touching the nostrils and the touching point, and you can mental note beginning when it touches the nostril. When it stops touching the nostril, that is the end. So at the same touching point, you can see the beginning and end of the breath. So try to see also beginning, middle, and end of the breath. Middle P means between the beginning and the end, there is a gap. Means when the breath enters, that's the beginning. After it continues sometimes at the middle. When it stops, that is the end. And try to see also the middle of that. And mental note, beginning, middle, end. So, and for the out breath, try to see also beginning, middle, and end of the out breath, and mental note, beginning, middle, end. So that is about the third step. The third step is not different from the first one. It's called, what we try to see it is more details. Now, the same breath, you can see it in different ways. So you can see it in a gross way, or you can see it in a more subtle way to see more details. So therefore now the third step, the second step and third step, it is just for us to see more details, to see whether the breath is long or short. So after to go to see the whole process from the beginning to the end. So then we don't try to manipulate the breath ourselves. We observe the natural breath. What we do it is a mental exercise for us to see more details on this process of the in-breath and out-breath. So after the Buddha explains the third step, he is going to explain the fourth step, where he says, one trains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, I shall breathe in. And then one trains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, I shall breathe out. So this means that even though the process of breath may be tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing, one should not stop watching it, but continue pay attention to the in and out breath. Because some meditators, after they concentrate for some period of time, so the breath becomes so tranquil, so nice, so calm, and they think, oh, how nice it is. And they enjoy this calmness and they forget to observe the breath. So, but here the Buddha says one should continue observing the breath, when it goes in and out. Don't try, just enjoy this calmness, as called, because this calmness is going to disappear if you don't observe the breath. So this is the advice of the Buddha. Therefore, no, the first step it is to reinforce, as called, to tell the meditator, even if the breath becomes calm and quiet, one should observe it, continue observing it. Now, there is one word which the Buddha uses here. It is the bodily process, which is the kaya sankhara. And we're going to explain this, the meaning of kaya sankhara here again, because the word kaya reappears, and it again confuses some people. What means kaya here? Body. So then this definition is given again in the suttas, in the discourses of the Buddha. And in order to clarify this confusion, we're going to give the suttas. Now, the definition of kaya sankhara, or bodily process, is given in the suttas thus. Here it says, in-breath and out-breath are a bodily process, kaya sankharo. These states are bodily, are bound up with the body. That is why in-breaths and out-breaths are a bodily process. So for those who want to check the Pali text, they can do so. Now, what means bodily process? It is very clear, in breath and out breath. This has nothing to do with our hands, our legs, our chest, our belly, nothing like that. It's just the whole process of in and out breaths. So again, there is another canonical text also which says the same thing. What is the bodily process? Kaya sankharo. Long in breaths, long out breaths. Short in breaths, short out breaths are bodily. These states are bound up with the body and are bodily processes. So therefore now, this body or bodily process is very clear stated here. It's nothing to do with anything else except with the breaths. It is the breath which actually we have explained. Kaya means body. It is a metaphorical sense, which is the whole process, the whole bulk, the whole mass of the air, which hits the nostrils, and the meditator can feel it. He can sense it, how it enters and exits, enters, exits. That is a kind of, not a body itself, but a kind of whole movement, the collection of movement of the breath. So then, therefore, one should continue watching the natural process of the in and out breath at parimukha, even though it may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing. So because some people, if they feel so relaxed because of the breath, they enjoy this relaxation and they forget to watch the breath. Now maybe the concentration drops and they think, oh, what happened now? So now the Buddha tries to say in the fourth step for us to don't just enjoy the relaxation, try to again focus your attention to the breath and continue watching the breath. So now if during the meditation there are thoughts which occur in the mind, one should ignore them. So then, and try to bring the attention back to the breath again. And any distracting thoughts who come, one should not follow them. Try to bring back the mind to the breath again and again. So then that is how one should do it. One should not try to push these thoughts away, fight these thoughts, get angry with any other thoughts which come in the mind. Simply ignore them, don't pay attention to them, and try to remind the mind what it has to do. You can use these words, in, breath, out, breath, in, breath, out, breath, to remind the mind what it has to do. Even after the mind becomes calm, you can skip these words because the mind has been trained to do so. Only if distracting thoughts come, you can use these words, in, breath, out, breath, or the whole breath, beginning, middle, and end of the breath, and so forth, in order to bring the mind to the breath. So then, even so, some meditators, because they have busy days or some events happen in their life and they have many distracting thoughts, if that is the case, I will suggest another method, which is the counting method, against distracting thoughts and feelings. In case, therefore, you have so much anxiety in your mind, or many thoughts coming because you have been so busy with so many things and the mind is a little bit confused, we can use this counting method. This is also a gross way how to bring back the mind. Therefore, now, if there are sometimes distracting thoughts or feelings, you may try the following counting method to focus the mind to the breath. So it is, this counting method is very simple. We have to count from 1 to 5, and you can use it as an emergency case. That means if the mind is too distracted and so forth. So then this method is simple. For example, if you breathe in and you breathe out, you mentally note 1, you put a number there, 1. And then if you breathe in and breathe out, you mentally note 2. Again, if you breathe in and you breathe out, you mentally note 3. Again, if you breathe in, if you breathe out, you mentally note 4. And if you breathe in, if you breathe out, you mentally note 5. So you go up to 5 and return to 1. So this is a summary of it. For example, for the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 1. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 2. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 3. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 4. For the in-breath and out-breath, you mental note 5. So you go up to 5 and come back to 1. If you forget a number, you just start again from 1. So then, because there is a sequence of numbers, you can easily catch the mind. If you forget a number, that means the mind has gone out. Then you try to bring it back again by counting the breath. That means at the end of the out breath, you put the number. If you tell now, for example, in breath, out breath, in the end of the out breath, you put 1. Again, in breath, out breath, at the end of the out breath, you put 2, and so forth up to 5. So that is one simple method, and how to occupy the mind with the counting, and ultimately the mind, if the mind becomes calm, you can go to the first method to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end, which is more detailed, and one can easily get higher concentration. So there is also another counting method, that is, if however the distracting thoughts or feelings persist and are tough, you may try the following tougher counting method by repeating the same number of the in-breath and out-breath. So therefore, this is also from 1 to 5, and you can see, you can try also this one as an emergency case. This second counting method, that means for the in-breath, you mental note 1. And for the out-breath, you mental note 2. Well, excuse me, 1. So therefore, the number you put for the in-breath, you put also to the out-breath. So again, for the in-breath, you mental note 2. For the out-breath, you mental note 2. For the in-breath, you mental note 3. For the out-breath, you mental note 3. Again, for the in-breath, you mental note 4. And for the out-breath, you mental note 4. So for the in-breath, you mental note 5. And for the out-breath, you mental note 5. Because you repeat the number twice, so it is easy to remember. If you repeat the number once, like the first counting method, you might forget it. Second method, it is only you repeat the number twice. The number you put for the in-breath, you put also for the out-breath. Here again, now it is summary of it, you can see it. For the in-breath, you mental note 1. For the out-breath, you mental note 1. For the in-breath, you mental note 2. For the out-breath, you mental note 2. For the in-breath, you mental note 3. For the out-breath, you mental note 3. For the in-breath, you mental note 4. For the out-breath, you mental note 4. For the in-breath, you mental note 5. For the out-breath, you mental note 5. You go up to 5 and return back to 1. If you forget number, you just start again from 1. And when the mind becomes calm, you may return to experience the whole breath. So then that is you can go back to the touching point and try to see the beginning, middle, and end of the in and out breath. And mental note beginning, middle, end, or just beginning, end. This is how one should practice. Actually, this explanation, I will have given it within 5 minutes. It is not difficult how to go to the first step, in breath, out breath, and go to the second step to see more details. As called after 5 minutes, you go to see more details, to see whether the breath is long or short, mental note short or short in, short out, or long in, long out. So you can do it about 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then you can go to the third step to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. So then now by doing this kind of concentration, after maybe some time, there are some good effects coming. And I'm going to show these effects. If one continues so, the concentration increases, and the sign of concentration, samadhi nimitta, may appear. Now, what is the sign of concentration? It is a kind of light which may appear in front of oneself and is connected with the breath. This is called the sign of concentration because the concentration is matured to a such extent so then it can produce light. We're going to speak about this light, but one thing is, before we're going to explain this, what means nimitta, as called, especially this word nimitta. Some people think the Buddha never used it. It is maybe later tradition came up with this word, but it's not true. We're going to see that the Buddha used many times in his discourses. Nimitta or samadhi nimitta and samatha nimitta are the words the Buddha used, especially samadhi nimitta. This word occurs about 25 times in the Sutta Pitaka and refers to various samatha and vipassana meditations, depending on the context. And samatha nimitta, the sign of tranquility, this word occurs about 11 times in the Sutta Pitaka and refers to samatha meditation. Here's one quotation. The Buddha says, there is a sign of serenity meditation. Frequently giving careful attention to it is a nutriment for the enlightenment factor of concentration. And the sign of serenity is, according to the commentaries, serenity itself as well as its object, which is the patibhaga nimitta or counterpart sign. And according to the commentary sub-commentaries, there are three types of nimitta. There is a preparatory sign, parikama nimitta. There is acquired sign, which is uggaha nimitta, and the counterpart sign, which is called patibhaga nimitta. The meanings of nimitta is a sign, a mark, an image, mental image, reflects image. What is the preparatory sign? It is what the Buddha said, establishing mindfulness at parimukha. Now, parimukha, we already said, is actually the tip of the nose or the upper lip. If the meditator feels that the movement of the breath, which strikes the nostrils, that is a sign for him that the breath goes in and out. If he does not feel anything, he can't understand. So therefore now, this preparatory sign is to the place of establishing one's concentration. So if there is no place to concentrate upon, there is no way to increase the concentration. And this place is actually the parimukha, which is the nostril or the upper lip. So because there is a sensation, which is there, which is an indication, a sign that the breath goes in and out. So after some time, concentration, the meditator concentrates on the in and out breath at the nostrils. So there comes the acquired sign, which is called uggaha nimitta, the still unsteady image which arises when the mind has reached a high degree of concentration. That means this light appears, and this is in the mind of the meditator. We're going to explain what is this light, because some people misinterpret it. So, and this light is connected with the breath, which the meditator can see with his mental eye. So then, and it comes like a friend to help the meditator to see more details. It's like a torch which appears in front of the meditator, he can see the breath in very, very subtle way. So it is like a person who goes to a dark room. He can just see things very, very obscure, in a very obscure way. He has to touch them again and again to understand what is this, what is that. But if there is a light in the room, of course, he can see everything so clearly. Something similar happened with meditator. In the beginning, if he closed his eyes, he observed this breath going in and out. It is sometimes not distinct. The breath is not distinct and so forth. But the more he concentrates, slowly, slowly, the light appears. And as soon as the light appears, he can see more details. Therefore, this light, it is a product of concentration, which comes like a friend to help the meditator and for him to see more details. But the thing is, if he pays attention to this light, so this light disappears. Why? Because the concentration drops down, become weak. But as soon as he concentrates on the breath, so when his concentration increases, this light also appears. From this, we can understand that this light is a product of concentration. So the more the meditator concentrates on his breath, the more this light becomes stronger, stronger, stronger. And then it comes to the point which has become a counterpart sign, which is called Patibhaga nimitta, an entire clear and immovable image arising at a much higher degree of concentration, which covers the whole face of the meditator. So this light therefore becomes very powerful and covers the whole face of the meditator. And soon after this image arises, the stage of access concentration, Upachara Samadhi, is reached. Access concentration, it is close to the Jhāna, which is called the full absorption. And this is the attainment of the third Jhāna, the full absorption. Sometimes Jhāna is translated as ecstasy. So it is a kind of ecstasy where the meditator can stay for this state for in a very blissful state. So then, in the mind of meditators, there are 5 factors which arise in the third jhana. First is the applied thought, that the mind is applied only on the breath or on the light which appears. And the sustained thought, again, this sustains his mind again and again on the breath and on the light. And the rapture which arises, and the bliss, and also unpointedness of the mind. So these are the mental factors which arise in the mind of meditator. Therefore now, when the meditator attains this absorption, which is called jhana, his applied thought is only on the breath, does not go anywhere else. His sustained thought is also on the breath and also on the light, or the light which appears during this full absorption, and he experiences rapture, bliss, and on-pointedness of the mind. So now the bright sign or the light varies depending on the meditator. For some, it is a bright light such as a morning star, or a bright ruby, a gemstone, or a bright pearl. For others, it is like a moon or a sun. The reason is that some people, they have different perceptions. And I'm going to give you an example. For example, here it is for if a light falls on a prism, so from the other side, there is a kind of rainbow effect. So, and it depends from which angle you can see it, you can see different colors. Yeah, it's called, you can sometimes see only the red color, sometimes only the yellow, sometimes the green, sometimes the blue. So it depends on which angle you can see it. Sometimes it's called, they appear also sometimes as a bundle of together. So then similarly with the meditator, so he can see according to his perception, different colors, different shapes of light. So that because of his perception. But the more he concentrates on the on the breath, the more this light becomes more unified, becomes more uniformed, and it stays is one color. It can be mostly, it can be white color and becomes more transparent. So the light is a product of intense mental concentration. It's nothing, it does not come from anywhere else from outside. It's a cosmic energy, and all these mystic terms do not apply here. Actually, it is just photons. So you might have heard about photons, and that appear in the meditator's mind due to the condensation of electromagnetic waves that exist in our bodies. Now, in our bodies, there are electromagnetic waves. This has been scientifically proved. So now in the electromagnetic spectrum, so if you see, the more the waves get condensed, that is a point when they make the light appear. The photons become very condensed and different, the rainbow colors starting appearing in this electromagnetic spectrum. Something similar happens with the meditators. If the the mind becomes very condensed, very, very concentrated on an object, so ultimately it produces this light. So therefore now it is a condensation for electromagnetic waves because of mental concentration. This is how this light appears. Now regarding this electromagnetism in our body, here there are a photograph which is called Killian photography, which shows how our body emits electromagnetic waves. So, and this is not only in our body, plants have also the same ability. As called, they have also electromagnetism. And what is basically recorded in Chilean photography are the very natural phenomena in our body, such as pressure, electric grounding, humidity, and temperature. Changes in humidity, which sometimes reflect changes in emotions, barometric pressure, and electric voltage, among many others, will produce different auras. Therefore, now during the meditation, these changes of emotions which appear in the meditator's mind, like rapture and bliss, this also can produce different auras, different colors. So then that is how the meditators can see sometimes they have different experience of colors. So then this light does not come from anywhere outside. We're going to clarify some misinterpretation of the light for some mystics and some meditators, which can, on the other hand, can see this light, but if they don't understand what is this, they give it different names. So, which are wrong names. Now here, they call this sometimes the immortal, pure light of infinite consciousness. It's called, which is completely wrong. It's just photons. It's nothing to do with consciousness. Consciousness has no light, but it can produce light. So the cosmic light, that is also wrong. It is nothing from cosmos. It comes from our body, which has electromagnetic waves. Cosmic consciousness, again, is wrong because consciousness has no light, but our body can produce light because of consciousness. Cosmic energy is also wrong because it is nothing from cosmos. It is from a concentration which has been can produce this light. Sometimes they call God or God's grace, which are all wrong. So therefore, the union of man with the divine, which is also wrong. Enlightenment, that is also wrong. That's called, this is not enlightenment. It is actually a high degree of concentration, but not enlightenment according to Buddhism. Some, for Hinduism, they call it enlightenment, or other movements, philosophical and so forth, spiritual movement, but this is not enlightenment. This is kind of high degree of concentration, which can actually disappear for sometimes. If one does not cultivate the concentration, it may disappear. So, and this is infinite ego. That is wrong. The soul, that is also wrong. The spirit is also wrong. The Brahma in his grace, Bodhisattva, all this grace. Actually, in physics, this is just photons, nothing else. All the rest is just misinterpretations who some people try to give and mystify all this experience. This is very common, and that's why we have different names. If you come from a background, from a Hindu background, you will give it your interpretation. If you come from a Christian background, you will give your interpretation. If you come some other spiritual background, you will give your own interpretation. But if you analyze this light, it's actually just plain photons, nothing else. So it is a physical phenomenon. It's not a phenomenon. It's not a metaphysical one. So now regarding this light, all this light and so forth, which a meditator experiences, it is can be experienced in a gradual way. So, and as we explained, it has nothing to do with metaphysical concepts. It arises because of deep concentration. The more the concentration increases, so if you, in the beginning appears like that, after the concentration increases more and more, then it appears like that. The more the concentration increases, it appears also more strong, which the mind can reach up to the Jhāna, which is this ecstasy. And one remain this in a very blissful state. But even these ecstasies are not permanent. They can actually, one can lose them, as called, and except if one tries again and again to come and get absorbed into them. So, but there is nothing permanent in this light or in this concentration. Usually, that's why the Buddha has experienced all these ecstasies, and he has seen how they are impermanent. But he uses them because they produce a high concentration, and he has not discarded them from his teachings. So then this higher concentration produces a kind of stability in the mind, which can be used for Vipassana meditation, for insight meditation, to see how all things are impermanent, suffering, and not self, and not to cling to this phenomena. People who cling to them, of course, so they are reborn again and again. So now we have explained about this mindfulness of breathing meditation, but the Buddha has taught also meditation of friendliness, metta meditation. The reason is that some people who have very strong negative emotions, they are unable to practice it's called mindfulness of breathing. The mind is so distracted, so because of the strong emotions, and in order to overcome them, the Buddha suggests to practice this metta meditation, which can overcome these negative emotions like anger, hate, sorrow, and stress, and anxiety, and many other negative emotions which can disturb one's mind, like fear, and which can be so strong so that one is not able to calm it down. So, and in order to do so, this metta meditation is an effective way. We're going to explain how one can practice it in order to overcome these negative emotions. But before that, we're going to explain the word metta, because some people will translate different ways. So then the meaning of metta, it is that metta comes from mita. In Sanskrit, it's mitra, which means a friend. So its real meaning is the disposition of a friend, that means friendliness. It is a friendly goodwill and wish for the welfare and happiness of all, wishing, may all beings be well and safe, may they be happy. So, and this includes oneself, because one can wish also oneself to be well and safe and to be happy, because one is also included in this category of beings. So, and the metta, the tendency of metta, it is that anger can be abandoned by the development of friendliness. Hence the Buddha says, this is the escape of anger, ill will, hate. That means the liberation of the mind by friendliness, metta citta vimutti. And again, the Buddha says, cultivate the meditation of friendliness. By cultivating the meditation of friendliness, anger disappears. And then again, he says, there is the liberation of the mind by friendliness, frequently giving wise attention to it. This is the denourishing of the arising of anger that has not yet arisen, and of the increase and strengthening of anger that has already arisen. So therefore now what the intention of metta meditation is to overcome this kind of aggressiveness, this anger which we have inside us, which can produce stress, can produce anxiety, can produce fear, can produce jealousy, can produce sorrow, in any other negative emotions. So this is the antidote for all these negative emotions. One more thing we're going to explain, that metta does not mean love. Some people that translate metta as love, and which can also is also a wrong translation. Now the Pali word for love is pema and piya. So then, the Sanskrit, it is prem and priya, and in Hindi is prem and piya. Now these words has nothing to do with metta. They are completely different words, and love is a different emotion from friendliness. Now, for those who have doubt regarding this metta, don't call it. Now in Hindi, for example, if you're going to tell love in Hindi, you can learn how to say love. It is by using these words PR and prem. So this is very common in Hindi people. They use it even today, because the Buddha, the language the Buddha used, although it is ancient Indian language, even nowadays the people use this. They use the same words slightly differently, but they have the same meaning. Now, if you want to see love stories and so forth, love movies, movies about love and all these things. These words are very common, PR and prem. So then, and love implies a strong emotion of affection and attachment, which in turn can bring sorrow and fear if that love is not fulfilled. That's why the Buddha says, from love, pema, piya, springs sorrow, from love springs fear. For him who is wholly free from love, there is no sorrow, whence then fear. The same he says about craving, the origin of existential suffering, dukkha samudaya, making it to understand that love is a form of craving and attachment. Thus he states, from craving, tanha, springs sorrow, from craving springs fear. For him who is wholly free from craving, there is no sorrow, whence then fear. However, instead of love, he urges his disciples to develop other noble qualities towards oneself and others, such as metta, which literally means friendliness or a friendly disposition, karuna, which means compassion, mudita, which means sympathetic joy, and upekkha, which means equanimity. Now we're going to explain a metta meditation, a serenity meditation, and as we're told, it is escape and mental freedom from animosity, hostility, ill feeling, antagonism, enmity, malice, resentment, bitterness, antipathy, ill will, anger or hate, fear, sorrow, jealousy, stress, anything we call negative emotions. Therefore, if you have anger in your mind, or you have hate in your mind, you have fear in your mind, a sorrow in your mind, you have jealousy in your mind, you have stress in your mind, that is the time to practice metta meditation. In order to do so, we're going to explain how to practice it. Now, for example, if you have anger in your mind, you can wish yourself, may I be without anger. You have to see, to recognize the anger in yourself. Try to take yourself as an object and wish yourself, may I be without anger. Try to go directly to the emotion. Don't try to avoid seeing it. Yeah, because some people, they can't admit that they have anger. What that anger destroys the peace of mind. It destroys the serenity of mind. So therefore now we have to admit there is anger within you and try to wish yourself, may I be without anger. So draw all your attention to your body and wish yourself, may I be without anger again. Because if anger arises, it spreads in all our nervous system. So, and if you detect certain points of the body which are very tense, you can go to these places and wish yourself, may I be without anger. So, and you can see that this anger slowly goes away. Because what we do in this context, it is that we don't try to push this anger away, to fight with it. We try to withdraw our mind by telling, may I be without anger, may I be free from anger. So, but if we allow our mind to be dragged along with this anger, or to get involved with this anger, what's called, then this anger we nourish this anger. In order, as the Buddha said, to nourish this anger, it is we have to withdraw our mind, to take it outside of the stream of anger and wish yourself, may I be without anger. By doing so, slowly, this anger gets denourished. It has not the nourishment to continue, and it will drop away. So that is how slowly get rid of this anger, by recognizing, understand what is the culprit which destroyed my serenity of mind. So my peace of mind is anger. Okay, you can go ahead and wish yourself, maybe without anger. So draw all the attention to yourself, and you see that this anger slowly is going to disappear. So if you have hate in your mind, so again, you can wish yourself maybe without hate. Hate is actually more higher degree of anger. So if you have fear in your mind, you can wish yourself maybe without fear. If you have sorrow in your mind, you can wish yourself maybe with sorrow. If you are jealous in your mind, you can wish yourself maybe without jealousy. So in this way now, it's called, if you have stress in your mind, you can wish yourself maybe without stress. So any of these negative emotions which are inside you, so you can name them and wish yourself maybe without this emotion. So, and if you know any other negative emotions in your language, so you can also name them, recognize them, they're inside you. So in which yourself maybe without emotion. You can see that these emotions do not have room to stay in your mind if you withdraw your mind. Do not nourish them. You don't get involved with them. You don't get dragged along with them. So why, if you remember instances when you got angry because of some episode which happened, you again take yourself as a center of attention and with yourself maybe without anger or stress and so forth regarding this emotion. So either in the present moment or past moments, you can actually, whenever you see yourself, wish yourself maybe without emotion, this negative emotion. This you can do while walking, sitting, lying down. So whenever this emotion arises, you can be aware of it and wish yourself maybe without this negative emotion. You can see that this emotion will have no room to stay in your mind, and you can regain your peace of mind. So after the mind becomes peaceful, so you can wish yourself, may I be happy. So because this meditation is from one side to remove these negative emotions, and from the other side to arouse negative emotions. And happiness is something which many people wish, because I don't know whether you know anybody who gets up in the morning and wishes, may I be unhappy today. So usually people, they wish something good to happen to them. They wish something pleasant to happen in the mind. This is what means some happiness. They are looking for happiness. And it is good to arouse this positive emotion, may I be happy. So because now you are peaceful, the mind is peaceful, then you can actually wish yourself, may I be happy. But if the mind is very confused and so forth, how you can tell me I be happy? First, you have to remove this negative emotion. After become calm, then you wish yourself, may I be happy again and again. So you can see how you can feel happy. If memories come from the past, which you have been, you felt happy, you can take these memories and wish again yourself, may I be happy. Either the present moment or past moment, take yourself as a center of attention and wish yourself, may I be happy. So after you feel this satisfaction, as called some happiness arise in your mind, you can wish all the other people, may he or she be happy. Friends you remember, or relatives or parents, any people you remember who have in your life, wish them also to be happy. Because our happiness does not depend only from us. We are surrounded from many people, and it's good to share this happiness with other people. And this is how you can actually have good relations with other people, means good understanding with other people, to avoid misunderstandings. You become more sensitive to them. So by wishing them positive things. So then this is how you can practice meditation. It's very helpful for everyday practice, especially for people who live who have difficult times, it's called dealing with negative emotion. This metta meditation is very helpful. When the mind becomes calm, if you return to the breath, you can see the breath becomes so smooth. So it is easy to follow, because the mind is not agitated. When the mind is not agitated, the breath is also easy to observe. So then in order to remove this agitation, strong negative emotions, metta meditation is very helpful. So for the time being, I will conclude my talk at this point. So then before we start, we usually allow people 5 minutes to ask any question they like. And also, before we start, I'm going to explain briefly for five minutes all this, what I explained on our. So then, don't worry, you will catch all these points. So if you have any questions, you can ask them. So then, in order to do so, for those who don't know, now, in order to ask a question, you can go to the Zoom screen, on the bottom of the Zoom screen. And if you go with the arrow or with your finger, you can see small icons there. You can see a microphone. You can see one box there which says chat. If you like to type a question, you can type your question on the chat. After you type the question, you can click enter and your question will appear on the chat box. So another option is to go to another icon, the last icon which says reactions. There's a small face there. If you click there, this palm, it will show that you want to ask a question. You are going to open your microphone. You can ask a question. So therefore now, those who have any points to ask, who are not very clear, you can ask them. We allow them to do so for 5 minutes. So Nicole asked the question, says, what you explain about not electronic, this electromagnetic waves and the light that is a result of concentration is very insightful. I wonder if this can be scientifically studied as well. Yes, can be studied. There's been some research has been done. Actually, in our body, because we have electromagnetic waves, you get cardiographs, you know, and also this brain scanning. It's called because this can actually measure the voltage in our body. Now in our heart, so there are these kind of pulses, and this produce electromagnetic waves. These electromagnetic waves can be measured. And if the meditator meditates, these electromagnetic waves can be measured. This is how it can be scientifically studied as well, because this something can be measured. So then, of course, this light, of course, can be seen only by the meditator, but some brain scannings which have been done, they can see a very strong activity in certain brain areas. So, and that is why a scientist can measure this brain activity and can understand that there's a lot of electromagnetic waves occurring in this brain, in this part of the brain. So this very intense electromagnetism which occurs in certain parts of the brain can be seen by the meditator as light. And we have also taken this Kirlian photography, which can show how our body emits light. It's very important to understand this because some mystics or people who don't understand this, they give different interpretations. So, and some mystical interpretations which do not have any evidence for such things. Okay, then, if there are no more questions, okay. So yes, from Anna Elena, there is one question. I would like to ask, for the metta meditation, one can use more than one emotion to work with or many? Non-meditation to make myself more clear. So then, no, I can use only one emotion because it's very confusing. You don't experience two emotions at once. At once means both together. Usually it is, if you experience fear more strongly, you can wish yourself maybe without fear, without fear, without fear. So of course, after fear subsides, then you can see why this fear arose. Because there is something, an unpleasant object or unpleasant experience towards you had some aversion. is aversion which causes this anger to arise. So, excuse me, this fear to arise, because you have aversion towards some things. And if you experience the things, you fear arises. Now, this aversion is a kind of anger. You get angry with some things which you come in contact. This kind of aversion can produce a kind of strong panic in yourself. You can see this object is a threat in your life, and fear arises. So therefore, fear, according to the Buddhist psychology, is a form of anger. So, but once this fear, the emotion of fear can arise, you can't see anger behind. You can see in the foreground, it is fear. But after the anger subsides, and so on, you can see what is in the background. Background is your aversion you have towards some object, some person, or some experience. So, and this aversion is a kind of anger. Then only you can wish yourself maybe without anger. But once fear is in the foreground, you can't see anger. Then you can start wishing yourself maybe without fear. So this is how you should understand that fear, it is actually a more strong degree of anger, which arises, a strong degree of aversion towards something which we see it as a threat in our life, and you get this panic. So then that is how actually it's the same emotion of anger, but in a very more higher degree. So you can start with a higher degree. If the higher degree is there, so you can start with this high degree, fear. Then so if that goes down, then you can see actually that is your aversion, your anger you have towards an object, a person, or some experience. So then you can wish yourself maybe without anger, and so forth. So therefore now two emotions is difficult to work with. Try to understand one emotion. If stress is there with you, if you understand it's a stress, you can tell maybe without stress, no problem. Stress is also a form of anger. So now stress, we feel stress if something undesirable thing happen in your mind, in ourselves. So for example, you want to go somewhere and then some obstacle is there. So it does not allow to go because maybe somebody locked the door and you can't go. And you feel so stressed because it's time pressure, you have to run. Now this stress is what? It is something undesirable emotion. It is a form of anger. You got angry because you could not achieve your goal, and this anger boiled so much, you can feel the stress. So if you feel like that, you can start wishing yourself maybe without stress, in order to calm down the mind. So then, because now this small stress we accumulate can become a habit. And ultimately, the mind becomes very agitated. For slight things, it becomes agitated. So it is good to tackle these emotions one by one to see what is more prominent in oneself, more and it's called perceptible in one's mind. And you can start with this emotion. Afterwards, of course, one can work with the more subtle emotions like anger, can be hate towards things. So then to understand that this is the same emotion of anger, ill will, hate, and so forth towards events in our life, which can cause stress, cause sorrow also, can cause jealousy. Jealousy is a form of anger. It means because we don't like other people to possess or to have this and these things. We are jealous of them. We don't like them to have some success in life. We get annoyed somehow that some people have things which we think they should not have. So then that is a kind of aversion. All these are forms of anger. So therefore, which can manifest in different forms. So, but in whatever forms it manifests, you can actually it's called name it. You can name it as you understand it. If you understand this is stress, you can understand. It's called wish yourself maybe without stress. Don't change it. So, if you understand this hate, you can wish yourself maybe without heat. So, and go ahead and walk with this emotion of heat. Yes, now Yuli asked the question, how about resistance? When I notice the resistance. So resistance is a kind of also aversion, because we have a certain aversion to certain things and we are reluctant to do some things. It's a kind of resistance. So, in that case now, this resistance blocks our mind and does not allow to see any other options. Because maybe there are other options in our life, how to deal with situations. But when this resistance comes, a kind of, you become so stubborn, so hateful towards certain situations, you will try to actually resist to it. So, and we don't see any other option. Our mind gets blocked. If we can reduce this kind of resistance, then you become more open-minded. You may be able to see more better options in order to deal with some situation. So, all right, now, because the time is past, any other questions we are going to answer in the end of the meditation session. Before we start, I want to explain how to meditate. And again, maybe 5-10 minutes. I try to be as brief as possible and to finish the explanation within 5 minutes. So then, now to start with meditation, you can actually sit comfortable in your place, maybe on the ground. You can sit on the chair. You can sit on a cushion, and try to keep your spine erect. That is more important. And with I will suggest you can start with mindfulness of breathing meditation and try to bring all your attention to the tip of the nose, because most of the people have normal nose. I'm not going to repeat the upper lip. So I always explain this, except if you have a short nose, you can feel it on the upper lip. You can actually pay attention to the upper lip. But I will refer mostly on the nostrils, because most people have ordinary nose. So now try to keep your attention to the nostril. When the breath touches the nostrils, when it enters and exists. And when you feel the in-breath, you mental note in-breath. When you feel out-breath, you mental note out-breath. These words are very important in the beginning to remind the mind what it has to do. Later, you can skip these words if the mind already knows what it has to do. So, and you can do this for 5 minutes. Try to observe the natural breath. Except if you don't feel the breath, you can take some deep breaths in the beginning, and after try to follow, understand the whole process of the natural breath. So then for the in-breath, out-breath, you can do it about 5 minutes. After that, you can try to see more details to see whether the breath is long or short. If it is short, you mental note short in-breath, short out-breath. And if it is long, you mental note long in-breath, long out-breath. Depending on the situation, you can do that. So for about maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes. So to see more details, and after try to see more details. That means to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. Try to see when the breath starts and when the breath stops. Now, when the breath, the air touches your nostrils, this is the beginning. When it continues touching the nostrils, that's the middle. When it stops touching the nostrils, that is the end. Try to see the beginning, end, from the beginning to the end, by using the words beginning, end. In the same way with the out breath, when the end exceeds, when the air exceeds, You mentally note skull. This is the beginning. When it's touches the nostrils. When it stops touching the nostrils, that is the end. Try to see the beginning and end. You can use this word beginning, end, beginning, end, beginning, end. So in the skull, as a start, let of course you can skip these words and try to see the whole process from the beginning to the end. So then that is a simple practice and so forth, and try to feel the breath, to be with the breath, and any other thoughts who come in the mind, just to ignore them. Except, as I have told you, if there are so many distracting thoughts coming in your mind, and agitation is there, you can use this counting method from 1 to 5, and when the mind becomes calm again, you can start and go to the first method, which is to see the beginning end of the breath. So regarding other thoughts which are very, very strong emotion, negative emotions, you can practice meditation. I already explained this. I don't need to repeat. Even now, there were many questions about this about metta. So then try to see what are the most strong emotions we have. Try to detect it. If it's anger, or stress, or as called any other resistance, for example, for something, and try to deal with this emotion and so forth, the way I explain it. And that is a whole explanation. So now we're going to meditate 45 minutes as we have agreed, because we do this class once in a week. We allow people to meditate as much as possible. So then those who have difficulty sitting 45 minutes, they can try to sit 20 minutes, 30 minutes, as much as they can. If it is difficult to sit more than 30 minutes, they can get up, walk a little bit, and again sit down. So this is how you can deal with this. So you are in a private place, you can choose the time, how much it's called strength you have to sit. So then, okay, before meditation, a bell is going to ring. Check your device. So if the volume is very high, you get maybe annoyed by the bell. Try to moderate the volume of your device. Okay, now we're going to start. Try to sit with your spine erect, and try to draw all your attention to the body and tell yourself, relax, 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 and bring your attention to the natural flow of the breath. So then 45 minutes have passed. Usually after the meditation class, any question you can have, you can submit them in the chat box, or if you raise your hand, you can actually allow you to talk. And so were there any difficulties? Everything goes so easy, no? So it seems that so then there is from Chandrini, there is a statement. It says that it's difficult to keep the concentration for long. So then what kind of meditation you practice? I think you are practicing mindfulness of breathing. So if you practice mindfulness of breathing, you try to count the breath. I already talked about counting the breath. Did you try counting the breath? So yes, don't hesitate. Try to count the breath. Many meditators find it so easy because with counting is that you can easily catch the mind when it wanders. If you forget a number, that means the mind is already gone. So that is how you can catch the mind and bring it back. But if you don't use the numbers, the mind is very easy to sleep. And to sleep means to wander without your knowledge. So then because there is no any difficulty to bring it back, you might be more forgetful. With numbers, because there is a series of numbers to remember, you try to keep the numbers counting, and you can see how you can bring the mind together. So then there are two questions from Nicole. You said, watch the beginning, middle, and end of the breath through the sensation on the nostrils. But don't follow the breath longer inside and outside the body. It is hard to do the first without doing the latter, or to know the difference how to do that. The second question is, can you recommend a good means against sleepiness and drowsiness? Especially people with low blood pressure. Now, regarding this first question, now that means inside and outside the body. It is, you don't watch the breath inside the upper parts of the nose. Now, for example, ear part, or in the pharynx, or in the lungs, and so forth. Try to keep this small area here and try to feel the sensation. And beginning, middle, and end of the breath means, now if the air strikes the nostril, that is the beginning. When it continues striking the nostril, that is a touching point, it is the middle. When it stops touching the same point, is the end. So you don't need to change the points. It is the same touching point, which I show in the slides. So then you can feel it. Now, for example, if you close your eyes and this finger is moving, you close your eyes, you can feel something is moving up and down. So you can feel when it starts moving on the same spot here. The same spot is moving. You don't see it where it is moving, but you can feel it from the lower finger. So something is moving. When it starts moving, this is the beginning. When it continues moving, that is the middle. When it stops moving, is the end. So you can feel it on this lower finger. Something like with the nose, if you close your eye, you can feel something is moving here. It touches, then it continues moving, then it stops moving. The same point. So then now the beginning means when it starts moving, you can feel it. This is the beginning. When it continues moving, that is the middle. When it stops moving, is the end. So that is to see the whole process of the breath in the same point. So you don't need to follow the breath inside the pharynx to see how it goes down to the lungs, or in the belly, or inside the bowels and the what. And then if you do like that, your concentration gets loose and you lose focus because you try to figure out what is my breath now, which part of the body, maybe on the belly after it goes to the lungs, or the mind gets scattered. So that does not allow the mind to get concentrated. But if you keep the mind only in this area again and again, you can feel the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So then, therefore, sensation is the indicator. Indicator means it will allow, the sensation will allow you to feel it. Even if you close the eyes, you can't see a color, you can't see a shape, but you can feel it. So this feeling will indicate you, now the breath starts moving and continues moving and it stops moving on the same point, touching point. Okay? So then now you use these words. In the beginning, you can use these words, beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end, beginning, middle, end, maybe for 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes, till the mind becomes familiar. After you can skip these words because the mind now knows what it has to watch. These words we use because in order to remind the mind what is supposed to watch. So, and once the mind becomes familiar, it's called, can watch the breath easily. Yeah, this is a very short moment when the breath touches. So then it can be a slight touch. So then sometimes you might not feel the end, but you can feel the beginning. Never mind. You can watch the beginning. You know the beginning at least. So then again, from the out breath, you know the beginning. Slowly, slowly, if you know the beginning, slowly, slowly, you can see the end also. So now this is an effort, mental effort to see more details. You don't try to change the breath to tell stop, start, and all like that. You don't try to do that. You just mentally know, now it starts, now it stops. So now regarding the other question is about sleepiness and drowsiness. So then now sleepiness is that you try to meditate at times when you feel energetic. Don't try to meditate at time when you feel sleepy, especially after the meals or very late in the night. So many people, they try to meditate late in the night because I have to do this, I have to do that. Before they go to the bed, they try to meditate. They think, oh, difficult, because they feel sleepy. So then, so meditation is best times are in the early morning, after many hours of sleep. So the mind is more fresh, more light. So then it does not remember many things from yesterday. It is like it is more fresh now. So then. That is the time when it is good in the early morning to start meditating. So then some people, they like to drink some French juice, or some they try to take some little coffee or tea. That is okay if you call. In empty stomach is the best, empty stomach. So then don't, if you feel little hunger and so forth, you can take some fruit or something, very light breakfast, and try to see it, and you see the sleepiness will not come. So that any other times of the day when you feel energetic, some people feel, but don't try to meditate immediately after the meals, because that is when you may feel drowsy. So that whether you have low blood pressure or high blood pressure, after the meals means usually people are sleepy. They feel sleepy. So then, and that is the time you have to avoid it. That is one condition we have to maintain, means to find when you are energetic. Try to find, everybody is different. Try to find yourself when it is you are energetic. So then, but even if you try to meditate and you feel sleepy, sometimes sleepiness comes. So don't sit, get up, walk a little bit, wash your face with cold water is the best, and try to go outside to take some air. So, and sunlight is also good. If you don't have sunlight, try to see a bulb which is lit in your room. Try to see it for a long time and so forth, to stare at it. And that also makes the sleepiness to go away. So it arouses some, it helps for blood circulation. So if you walk up and down in fresh air, and to ventilate your room is good. Ventilation of the room is very good. So these things somehow help to remove sleepiness. When you sleepiness, after maybe 10 minutes, sleepiness will go away. If you sit, you see the mind is fresh. You can continue meditating. So there is one question, I think, where is Florence? I think she left. She make a statement. Yeah, she's not there. So, okay, for the time being, it seems there are no more questions. Yes, there is something more. Okay. It's a statement from Nicole. Okay, so then for the time being, there are no more questions.
Perhaps Nicole needs some clarification about Vipassana and Anapanasati.
No, because in Goenka, for 3 days, I think they practice Anapanasati.
Okay.
So then after 3 days, they start practicing Vipassana, means scanning the body about the feelings. So then, and many people, of course, they have also have question about breathing meditation, this Anapanasati, which Nicole tried to clarify this. Now she is happy that she got the answer.
And some salt, Nicole, you need. For the low blood pressure, salt helps.
Yeah, some medical advice.
And orange juice.
Yes, there is one question from Yuli about empathy. How about empathy? What does this fall? Empathy is also a kind of non-aversion to other people. If you don't have aversion, hate, hatred towards other people, is a kind of metta. You can also say metta. Means you are friendly towards others. You sympathize with others. And I think empathy is this kind of feeling which you don't have any aversion towards others, and you are more understanding towards others. So because you have removed any hate, any anger towards other people. So that is a form of metta also. It's a form of friendly feelings. But once we have anger, hate, jealousy towards others, empathy is out of the window. You usually don't think about empathy or sympathy or compassion. So once we remove any aversion, hate, and hatred towards others, this emotion of empathy and sympathy and compassion are very easy to cultivate. So next Sunday, we're going to practice Vipassana meditation. There will be a PowerPoint presentation. It will be the same as last time. I usually put these PowerPoint presentations to have a visual understanding for some people. And as I already told, the explanation I give the PowerPoint presentation can actually explain within 10 minutes. So it doesn't take much time. It is a simple technique. But the PowerPoint presentation is for you to see the background, to understand the whole process, to understand certain steps, to have some better grasp of the whole situation. That's why we devote about 1 hour, a little bit more than 1 hour, to explain these things. And next Sunday, we're going to again to present the PowerPoint presentation. For those who are already seen it, they can skip it. They can join after 1 hour. So for those who have not seen it, it's good to see it and to have a better grasp of it. So for today, we're going to conclude our class because there are no more questions. So then, there are some things coming from Yuli. No, it is not about last minute. You don't need to apologize. We only to we have time to answer question. Don't worry. Now regarding your sadness, it says there you can practice Vipassana if you like to see how it rises and falls. Otherwise, you can practice meditation and tell maybe without sadness, and repeat it. Because if that gets, now with meditation is that if emotion becomes so strong, it repeats itself very frequently, then it's difficult to practice to see the rise and fall of it because it is almost continuous. So then, therefore, now we use this meditation in order to concentrate on that emotion. Again, wish ourselves maybe without sadness. Again, try to bring your attention to yourself. And if you repeat without sadness, this frequency is starting becoming less, and you can feel gaps in between. Slowly, the continuity of that breaks down. Then you can see gaps become more, less. And then if you practice Vipassana, you can see how it rises and falls. It's easy to see. But if it is so compact, it occurs very frequently, you can't see the rise and fall. It seems to you like a solid body, a solid mass of emotion. So then, therefore, now we use this meditation in order to break this compactness by wishing maybe without sadness. Then, the more you go through the mind, you can see this continuity of this emotion start to become less, and you can see gaps in between. Maybe after 5 minutes, no sadness. Maybe it will come again, but it is not so strong as before. And you can watch it in a more better way. Even if you practice Vipassana, it is easy to see the rise and fall of it. So therefore, I would just suggest you can continue with meditation. You wish yourself maybe without sadness, if that sadness is so prominent. So then, now the thing is, now you don't try to chase this away. This is the thing, or to try to fight with it. You wish maybe God without it, maybe be free from. Because we have to recognize what is this which destroys our peace of mind. So now, and we have to go to the root instead of try to overlook the root. Because this sadness may have come now, but it may have been yesterday also there, before yesterday. And we have experienced this sadness many times in life. So, but if you want to overlook it, so then of course, it will appear again in the future. So if we are trying to go to the root of the problem, the time you feel the sadness, you have to, again, go ahead and repeat yourself, maybe without sadness. Try to not to chase it away, to fight it, but just to withdraw your mind to see the danger in the sadness, by getting involved and so forth. So, and because you tell like that, then this sadness, you think becomes more stronger. It is not stronger. You become more aware of it, that it is part of yourself. So then then it is, you can remember also episodes which you became sad, maybe yesterday, before yesterday, maybe 1 month. So, and then actually you can somehow see the root, how it is rooted, not only from, as called from today, it has some roots in the past also. You can go down, 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 the more go back to the back to the past. You can see how this sadness as a dominant factor in your life. So then what you realize is the strength of the sadness. Not that this sadness becomes more strong if you tell me I'll be without sadness. You can understand the strength of the sadness which dominates your life. So then, but if you don't try to see it, you try not to see it, of course they think, oh, it is not in me, I call like that. Try to avoid not seeing it. Once you see it face to face, you can see the strength of it, how it dominates your life. And don't be afraid to see it face to face. If the problem, you have to see it face to face. Don't try to put it under the carpet. This is what most people do. If there is something, negative emotion, they try to put under the carpet, as if it is not there, they don't want to see it. So with this meditation, we have to go to the essence of the problem, to the root of the problem. If sadness is this, could destroy your peace of mind, confuses you, brings so much distraction in your life, so it's better to face it and so forth and deal with it. So then by wishing yourself maybe without sadness, by repeating that, then you can see this strength of the sadness which dominates in your life, not only now, maybe from yesterday, before yesterday, maybe months, maybe for years. So, and that is why you have to work it out. So then memories will come when you have remembered yourself, you have been with sadness because of this thing, the other thing, because the other thing. So try to bear it up. So it is part of your life. Don't try to put a blinder and try not to see it. So try to face it and so forth. Wish yourself maybe without sadness. The more you say so, the more you understand the strength of the sadness. Not that you make the strength become bigger. No. The strength was already there. And it can come tomorrow, can come after tomorrow. So therefore now you have to tell it again. Although it can be painful and so forth, by remembering some episodes which happened in your life, which have affected you, but it was not so painful as if you really experience it. It's called memories, maybe, if you remember something bad. But if you wish yourself, maybe without sadness, concentrate on the emotion of the sadness. So you can see that this sadness will become less and less and less and so forth. You understand, because you understand the danger of that. And see how the mind gets trapped in this emotion. In order to free the mind from this trap, you have to withdraw it. Wish yourself may be free from it. So not to get involved with it, not to get dragged along with it. So that is how you can liberate your mind. Take it out of this trap. You have to work it out. You have to work it. It is sometimes it is difficult, but anything is difficult in life. Anything is difficult. Everything is difficult in life. So even if you want to write, small children, when we start writing the alphabet, how difficult it was, no? Our parents had to slap us. So then, so everything we learn, there might be some difficult, but there are some good fruits. So that you can actually liberate ourselves from these negative emotions. It is within our power. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Bhante, so much for your clarification. I just wanted to say that, yes, I have noticed by observing the sadness that it gets lessened, and I can actually see it as a wave in the sea, like comes, it's strong, then it gets lessened. I was just wondering, by repeating, may I be without it, I was kind of accepting that this is like chasing it away, but actually it's facing it, not chasing it. If I say, may I be free from it, may I be free from it. And so I was thinking by saying this, I'm kind of saying, oh, I push it away, but I don't. I accept.
Okay.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for all your guidance and so far, and I'm working on it. So yes, like a small child, step by step.
Okay, then we are going. Who is writing? I think Yuli is writing. You are, let me see. No, sorry. Yes, there is a question from Tu Honk. In daily life, how can I stop seeing and accepting uncomfortable feeling and sensation in shocking moments? I feel uncomfortable when hearing to a loud voice. In the conversation with a person who has a high-tone voice, I'm easily not be able to stay calm. Although I keep an intention to watch my breath and listen to understand the person who speaks with, I recognize that my breath changes rapidly and breath rhythm varies a lot. In this case, I feel hard to come back to my breath. Could you please suggest a practice for me? So now with noise, and many meditators have difficulty. It is not only you. It is something which it is very distracting for many people. So, and during meditation, most of the people try to go in a quiet environment. So to a quiet room where there are no noises, they can meditate. But in other situations in life, for example, if you go to your working place, so you may hear people shouting and screaming, doing all these things, which can be uncomfortable. So that is normal, not only for you, as called for everybody, is normal. So then some people, they have it's called some more strength to deal with this. Some have less strength. It depends on the loud voice. Now, men, for example, if they hear a loud voice for women, they like it. But if they hear a loud voice for men, they don't like it. Women, the same. So maybe the other way around. So it depends what means uncomfortable. But many of these voices, we can actually overcome them. So then, especially with Vipassana meditation, it can help. Now Vipassana, so any sound you can take as an object of meditation. The time you hear a sound which is uncomfortable, you mentally note sound. You speak inside yourself, sound, or hearing. It depends what is more prominent to you, the hearing or the sound. I will suggest you start it's called telling yourself sound. Repeat yourself inside, sound. As long as the sound lasts, you can tell yourself sound. So by doing so, you can see that the mind slowly gets detached from the sound, does not get affected. So then, and then when you see the sound falling, you may not fall. That's called, again, if that sound rises, you can tell sound. If you see it falling, you can not fall. You can say that the sound is nothing solid. It is only a permanent thing which has a pitch, rises and has a fall also. So then in that case, now you can overcome this distraction from sounds by awareness. You become aware of what the mind is busy with. Once you become aware of that, and your mental note sound, or hearing, then you can see that the mind does not get affected. So it does not get dragged along with this sound. You can see it in a very objective way, as just a phenomenon which just rises, stays, and after it falls. So then that is one way how you can overcome the sound instead of trying to get somehow feel uncomfortable inside. But once this the sound has already aroused anger within you, if anger is more prominent, you can also tell yourself inside anger. So to try to see this emotion of anger, how this also rises, stays, and falls. So that is to tackle this sound, this uncomfortable sound. There are two ways. One is to catch it from outside when it enters the ear, to tell sound, or hearing. But if it penetrates the mind, so and you feel uncomfortable so strongly, so you get angry, and the anger is more prominent, then you can tell yourself anger. And then you can see how this anger stays in after it falls. So you can see how this anger also is nothing permanent. It is also goes away. And you don't keep this anger within you. And this uncomfortable feeling does not become so strong and becomes less uncomfortable. That is how you can deal with the sounds. All right, then it seems there are no more questions. We'll continue next Sunday. So then we are going to wish you all the best and stay safe, healthy, and happy. And try to practice as much as possible, especially early in the morning. It's good times for you to practice. And any other times you have free time, you also can practice. So and we wish you good success for those who want to practice.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhante. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
You're welcome.
Bhante, thank you very much.
You're welcome.